We sold 6 items on eBay over the weekend. We're going to talk about that and talk about an interesting junk removal job that I did yesterday that does tie into reselling, oddly enough. So we'll talk about that. But before we get into the details, my name is Brian and I'm a reseller. I resell on eBay in the everything category. I sell toys, tools, clothing, chainsaw accessories, all sorts of stuff on eBay, and trying to make a profit flipping things online. So let's get into the details from this weekend. I did sell 6 items, a little bit of a slow weekend. That's probably my fault. I've been super slacking for the past couple weeks on listings. I did draft some stuff over the weekend that I didn't. It's going to go live this morning. I didn't want it to go live while I was having my store sale and put them on sale immediately since they're brand new items, but just my preference. So we'll talk about those, and we're just going to pack them. They're small items. It's mostly clothing. You'll see. But, and then as we're doing that, I'll talk about a interesting junk removal job that I did over the weekend, actually yesterday on Sunday afternoon, but we'll get into that. We're going to talk about just going to mix it all up a little bit. This is a little bit different type of video because I'm going to pack stuff and ship stuff and just talk a little bit. So let's look at the first item that sold over the weekend. It's this Patagonia. This is a 2XL, I believe, flannel shirt I picked up a while back at Goodwill for $10.80 and ended up selling it for $24.49 plus shipping. I really thought I was going to sell this for closer to $40, especially getting into this time of year. But I've not been getting I've gotten some interest, and whenever I send offers, I've not been getting the sale. So, kind of a bummer, but it did sell on a 25% off sale. So, sold for $24.49 plus shipping. I may have only had it at like $34.89. I don't know what I had it. No, I don't know what I had it at. I don't remember. But $24.49 plus shipping. Let's see here. Someone was yelling at me the other day. They're like, please stop putting that on your packages. It doesn't matter. I was like, I don't know. There have been times when I was at like 15 ounces and I put the label on there and it kicked it over to a pound. And so that's the difference that I'm looking for. So like if I get audited or something, they'll upcharge you for the shipping. Probably doesn't matter a whole lot, but I like putting it on there. So stop yelling at me. No one's actually yelling. They're just typing. 1 pound, 1 pound, 3 ounces on that guy. But yeah, I probably do some funny things sometimes. We're going to get shipping label, and we're going to ship it at 1 pound, 3 ounces. All my clothing I'm doing on flat rate shipping still. I say that. I'm going to ship a pair of jeans that's not flat rate shipping because I've had them for so long they didn't even have a SKU number. They were just in a bin down here. But yeah, just about everything else now I'm doing flat rate shipping. Okay. $9.99. I did that because it was like a heavier shirt and a bigger shirt, and then I'm paying $8.98 for shipping. We're going to purchase that shipping label and get it going. Let's see. Save it. Going to Gardner, New York. I'm not familiar with that. It's October. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're going to use pink for our thank you notes. It's probably a little bit more of a fuchsia, but all right. Get that one out the door. I don't expect that I made a lot of money off of that one because I did pay so much for it, thinking I was going to sell it for more. $10.80, so made about $9.96. Did I say that right? About $8. I don't know. I'm doing my math wrong. I haven't drank enough coffee yet, and something is happening in my brain. Yeah. $7.96. $7.96 profit on that one. Boo. Not great for a $10.80 investment, and I've been hanging on to it for probably about four months, something like that. Good news is this one's a little better. Franklin Covey planner. I picked up 3 of these. I've already sold the other 2. One of them I sold for good money, like around 30 bucks. That I paid. So I paid $1 for all 3. So I signed 50 cents to the most expensive one, and then this one I've got a quarter into, and I sold it for $13.42 plus shipping. The vintage Franklin Covey planners, if you see those out and about and you can get them pretty cheap, I would suggest copping them because there is a decent demand. They just take refills, and people like, I guess, the Franklin Covey style, and this one had this one had dividers and like little envelopes and stuff in it. So it had a pretty nice little setup. Probably a lot cheaper than you can buy a decent planner for, just like at Walmart or something. But luckily I have the perfect box for it too, one that my dad picked up for me. It had some brake pads in it, I think. Yep, brake pads. I forget who told me, but to turn these automotive boxes inside out, whenever they're not glued or taped or anything, you can just flip them inside out and it looks like a brand new box on the outside, instead of having all the writing and stuff on it, which has worked out a few times. Pretty cool. Yeah, that'll work. I don't need the extra paper. Yeah, not big dollars, but only investing a quarter in it is pretty good. That is exactly 2 pounds. Exactly. 2.0. Put some tape on that. At 2.0 pounds, so 11 by 11 by what, 2? 3. That's too bad, but that's okay. 11 by 11 by 3. I had it at 2 pounds, so I was pretty spot on with the going to Rotonda, West Florida. Yeah. Buyer paid $8.98. I pay $8.98. So that's a wash. Let's see. Thank you. Are you ever surprised at the stuff people buy on eBay? I don't know that I'm surprised anymore, but it still intrigues me all the time. The stuff that I sell, I just would have, before becoming an eBay seller, I would have never thought that this weird variety of stuff would sell. But then I think about it, and anymore, if I'm looking for something kind of unique or bizarre or hard to find, eBay is the first place I go. 908 order earnings. So if I go back 25 cents, it's $8.83 in profit. Made more on that binder that I paid a quarter for than on that Patagonia shirt that I invested $10.80 in. If that tells you something about watching how you invest your money. Makes a little sense. So yesterday, my wife and I were getting ready to start working on the house we're remodeling. We've got a bunch of stuff we're doing to it. And I got a message that said, a text message that said, hey, we have some stuff we need removed. It is leftovers from our church garage sale, and I need to see how much you would charge so I can give our pastor a quote and get it approved. I was like, that's okay. So I asked for pictures. They sent me pictures. I looked at it and I told my wife, I said, none of this is going to go to the dump. There's 2 car seats that are in really, really, really bad shape, all dirty and nasty. They're going to go in the trash. So they're probably, and they've been used a lot, so they're probably not safe to use anymore. And they're really nasty on top of it. But so I quoted them. I was looking at it and I was like, it's probably like half a trailer. So I did it I said I'll do it for $100. So I told my wife, I said, if we're going to both run over there, it'll take us maybe an hour, and then we can just drop it all at Goodwill on the way home. I didn't show you. I'll put it up here. I sold these North Face shorts. Class 5, blue, tie-dye, pool, hiking, blah, blah, blah. They weigh 7 ounces. I paid $5.75 for these shorts. That's what I pay at Goodwill if they're not on sale. Sold them for $14.92. Funny part, they're going to Anchorage, Alaska. Not the place I would think you'd be buying a lot of shorts, but maybe they're, I don't know, going on vacation. So, I don't know. Good for them, though. It kind of surprised me when I saw that address. Made it like 44 cents on shipping. Someone was getting on to me about making money, like talking about making money on shipping. I don't understand. There's like a million different ways you can like price your stuff and your shipping and get your costs covered and all that. I think everybody just ought to do it the way that works best for them. But I'm also not an uber successful reseller, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So we get there, and I look at the pile of stuff in the corner. Pictures are so deceiving. So quoting off pictures is tough whenever you're doing junk removal. I've heard some people talk about, you should give them a range, not a price, until you get there. But it did end up filling up my trailer all the way. If I can get a picture out of the video I took yesterday, I'll put a picture up here so you can kind of see it. But so we were in and out of there in 50 minutes, and but we were hustling to get that stuff out. And there's tons of stuff. We parked the trailer at our house, and I put a tarp over it because there's tons of stuff we can resell in there. There's VCRs, there's some DVD players, there's a couple sets of golf clubs, and it's not all going to be eBay resale. There's going to be some Facebook Marketplace, tons of house decorations. I bought this, I don't know if you can see that right there, but it's a Cuisinart food processor. I bought it in an estate sale this weekend. And you tear those things apart and you make pretty good money on them if you buy it right. There was one in a box, like in parts from this garage sale. I mean, that's like $40 or $50 worth of parts just in that Cuisinart food processor. And that was the first thing I put in the back of the trailer, was that it's in a box with a bunch of other stuff. So I'm thinking there's probably $300 to $500 worth of resell out of that load. On top of we charged them $100 to do it. But it was just pretty funny. In my head, I was like, it's so weird that that they didn't give it all away for free, or like people from the church didn't haul it off, that they, I mean, I'm fine with it. They paid me, but they paid somebody to haul it off. They'd already taken a couple trips, they said, to Goodwill, and they just got exhausted. Which is also a little bit surprising, because they were like younger folks than me. Of course, they had small kids, but I don't know. On those North Face shorts, I paid $5.75, sold them for $14.92 plus shipping, and pre-tax profit is $6.55 on those shorts. Not the worst, definitely not the best. So, junk removal continues to be interesting. And I was talking about not knowing what I was going to do with that business, and really I was just going to relegate it to weekends, if anything, and that they just happened to text me. I don't know if something fell through, because when I got there, she was like, oh my gosh, the lady, her husband, she goes, you are such a lifesaver for showing up this fast. So I don't know, maybe they didn't have other people to help them, I don't know. This next item that sold is from a junk removal job. The fourth junk removal job that I did, so the one previous to yesterday's, is this Ken doll. So it's a 1968 body and a 1991 head, which is probably sounds silly, but that matters. But the clothing is the vintage clothing. So I got that for free. I just used a little bit of my vinegar water cleaning solution just to wipe his face down a little bit, because it was a little dirty. Everything else was good to go. And sold him for $9.67 plus shipping. So that's the first thing I've sold because of junk removal, is that thing right there that I got for free. We're just going to put him in one of these little shoebox deals. I wonder if those, well, there's not a lot. There's a barcode on the back, but I'm not worried about the not worried about that box flipping that one around. There we go. I mean, that's probably a 10-ounce box right there. Yeah, there were these weird, in that load of stuff, there was these pressed tin, like decor shelves you put on your wall. It's kind of like they're ledges or I don't know. It's a decor thing. And my wife was telling me how expensive they are. I didn't believe her, because I'm silly. And, oh, that's £1. That box is £1. She looked them up to see what they're selling for now. I was like, holy moly. This is like these couple little shelves you put on your wall that probably sell for, $30 on Facebook Marketplace. So, surprised the heck out of me. There was a ton of stuff in there. There's going to be a lot of resell. There's going to be a lot of donate still. There's a tree stand for deer hunting in there. Thought it was pretty cool. We've got some of those already, though. We don't really hunt. I don't hunt anymore, really. But, so, I mean, I have to imagine that's like $30 to $50, something like that. Okay. I did $7.99 flat rate shipping on Ken, because a lot of people were doing their Barbies and Kens at flat rate shipping. And they paid $7.36. Oh, I pay $7.36. They pay $7.99. So, let's see how this guy nets out profit-wise. But it was exhausting, because we hustled. In 50 minutes, we completely filled up. My trailer is a 5x10 with 4-foot walls. And then we had to like kind of Tetris all that stuff in there just right to get it to fit. There's a couple of things. My wife's like, I'm keeping this you know, this one, there was a cool, like a Tiffany style glass lamp, like the stained glass lampshades lamp. And not super ornate, but still pretty cool. And there was a couple of like big, like ceramic urn decorative things with lids on them, but she's gonna leave the lids off and like put some ferns or something in them. There was just so much stuff. It was a little overwhelming how much stuff there was, but there was a lot. Let's see. What do we make on Ken? $7.52. So we made more on the free Ken doll than we made on the shorts. Almost as much as that Patagonia shirt. What was next? This pair of jeans. These didn't have an inventory number because I've had them for so long. J brand jeans. Something I picked up at a garage sale a while back. It was a reseller that she was getting married, and she had a ton of clothing, and her fiance was not digging the resale vibes, and it's like, this stuff's got to go. So she had all of her stuff out at this garage sale. All of her clothing is 50 cents a piece, so I picked up a ton of stuff. I've made pretty good money on that garage sale, and I've still got a few pieces lingering. Probably, I don't know, a dozen pieces, but I think I bought like 40 pieces, 40 some pieces, because at 50 cents a piece I ended up paying her like 22 bucks. Yeah, so like 44 pieces. Let's see what we got on this guy. Now this is one I did calculated shipping on. This is before I was doing much clothing, and I hadn't gotten to the flat rate shipping part of clothing yet, or I guess I could, you know, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of free shipping, but 1 pound, 5 ounces. So I paid 50 cents for those jeans, and I sold them for 11 bucks. I took an offer somebody sent me. Let's see here. At least I had the calculated shipping at 2 pounds, so maybe that helps a little bit. I don't know. Buyer paid $7.67 all the way around. So going to Brookhaven, Georgia. Been to Georgia a few times. Never heard of Brookhaven before. Let's see. And then the last item that sold. This was a weird one. Hold on, let's see. What do we make on those jeans? Probably not a lot. $8.04. I paid 50 cents, so $7.54. A little bit more than the Ken doll by 2 cents. More than those shorts. Okay. So I was sending offers yesterday, and I saw somebody was interested in these depth gauges that I bought. And I sent an offer out. They were at like $14.17 free shipping was what they were at on sale. And then I sent an offer, I think, for $13. It said one interested buyer. And then like 1 minute later, it said your item sold, but it sold for full price. I was like, that seems really bizarre. I don't know if it was a whole different buyer, if the notification didn't go through to them for the offer because they are already in the process of buying it, if they just thought they were clicking on the $13 offer and didn't, and then paid full price. I have no idea. It seemed too much of a coincidence that I would have gotten the sale immediately after that, and it didn't work out to be with the offer. I just thought that was really bizarre. It is going to Leon, West Virginia. That's where this package is going. 7 ounces for both pieces. If you're new here and you haven't heard the story, I've told it about, well, probably 20 times, because I think I've sold about 20 of these. But I bought 413 chainsaw accessory pieces, and let's see, ended up paying 15 cents a piece for them because I got so many pieces. So I paid $60 for the lot, and I've been selling these in particular really well. These are going to Leon, West Virginia, but they're chainsaw file depth gauges to sharpen your chainsaw teeth, the teeth in your chainsaw chain. So pretty cool. Shipping for $5.26. I marked up the individual units, and then I put a price on the pair, because on an individual unit with free shipping, I was making like $250 or $270, because I was paying like almost $5 in shipping, and then to ship 2, it's like 25-50 cents more or something. It was negligible. So the profit goes way up whenever I'm selling 2 versus 1. So I haven't had anybody buying the singles. I've been selling some of the pairs, but that part has slowed down a little bit, probably because of the weather, maybe? I don't know. Maybe people aren't chainsawing a bunch of stuff right now. But the profit ought to be decent on this pair of depth file gauges. We'll see. We will see. That's item number 6. That is the last item. Actually, technically, I guess it's not sold till you have the money. Sold a skillet last night, and they haven't paid for it yet. So $6.30 order earnings on those 2 pieces. Paid 30 cents, so $6 in pre-tax profit. Pretty good. What are we looking at? So it was $88 in item sales over the weekend. Let's see what we got total profit-wise. Plus 6 equals $44.40. So shipping is going to go on top of that item total. So there's probably another $35-40 there. So it's probably about a 33-35% profit margin somewhere in there. That's what it's going to shake out to for the weekend. Again, not great, but it's my fault, so I'll deal with that. If you've stuck around this long, thank you so much for listening to my rambling, and I'm sorry because you listened to my rambling about stuff that's sold and junk hauling and all that stuff. I'm going to be making some different types of videos. I'm trying to figure out how to do it exactly with my new job, because I'm going to be, it's probably going to be like 8 to 6, 8 to 7 kind of job in the evening. It's going to be a decent amount of hours to start with until I get my feet under me and have a really good route established. But I think there's an opportunity to do some like live thrifting and garage selling while I'm out on the road in different towns. So I'm going to be all over the state of Oklahoma. The customers that I'm dealing with are in all sorts of small towns all over the place. So going to give me good exposure to probably lots of new markets and items to purchase. And it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. So that's it for now. If you have any comments or questions, leave those down in the comment section and I'll make sure and get back to you right away. And until next time, have a great day.